Within the silent, intricate network of your circulatory system, a slow and dangerous transformation may be occurring, a process that methodically turns your supple, life-giving arteries into rigid, stone-like tubes. By age 65, a staggering 90% of men have measurable calcification in their coronary arteries. This is not a rare disease. It is a widespread epidemic hiding in plain sight. But this process of biological petrification is not inevitable. There is a code to unlock this hardened prison, a specific set of biological keys that can instruct your body to not only halt this process, but to begin reversing it. The journey to reclaiming arterial flexibility begins now. The term is arterial calcification. It is the accumulation of calcium phosphate deposits in the middle layer of the arteries, the tunica media. Imagine the flexible PVC pipes in a modern home. Now imagine those pipes slowly being replaced, inch by inch, with brittle, corroded iron. They lose their ability to expand and contract with pressure. They become fragile. This is what happens inside the body. The heart must pump with greater and greater force to push blood through these unyielding conduits, leading to elevated blood pressure and a cascade of cardiovascular risks. The medical establishment often presents this as a simple consequence of getting older. This is a dangerous oversimplification. The degradation of our vascular system is not a function of time. It is a function of a specific, correctable, metabolic error. It is a signal to adapt. The body, in its profound intelligence, has a system for managing calcium. It knows that calcium belongs in the bones and teeth, forming the very framework of our structure. But when this system breaks down, a phenomenon known as the calcium paradox occurs. The body begins pulling calcium out of the bones, leading to osteoporosis, while simultaneously depositing that same calcium into soft tissues, like arteries, heart valves, and even the brain. The very mineral meant to give us strength begins to create fragility where it matters most. This is not a calcium problem. It is a calcium management problem. The body is not lacking instructions. It is lacking the managers, the traffic cops, to tell calcium where it is needed and, more importantly, where it is forbidden. The mainstream tells us to consume more calcium for our bones. But what if that very advice is contributing to the hardening of our arteries? Later, we will expose the forgotten nutrient that acts as a traffic cop for calcium, telling it exactly where to go. The primary culprit in this arterial hijacking is not an excess of dietary calcium, but a profound deficiency of a vitamin most people have never heard of. It is vitamin K2. This is not the same as vitamin K1, the nutrient found in leafy greens responsible for blood clotting. Vitamin K2 has an entirely different and singular mission: to regulate calcium placement throughout the body. It performs this critical task by activating specific proteins. Think of these proteins as dormant security guards, stationed within your blood vessels. Without vitamin K2, they remain asleep, useless. But when vitamin K2 is present, it flips a switch. It carboxylates these proteins, waking them up. One of the most important of these is the matrix Gley protein, or MGP. Once activated by vitamin K2, MGP becomes the most potent inhibitor of soft tissue calcification known to science. It binds to free-floating calcium in the bloodstream and within the arterial walls, physically preventing it from crystallizing and actively escorting it away from the danger zone. This is not theory. It is established biology. The Rotterdam study, a massive, decade-long investigation published in the Journal of Nutrition, followed over 4,800 adults aged 55 and older. The findings were definitive. Participants with the highest intake of vitamin K2 were 52% less likely to develop severe aortic calcification. They had a 57% lower risk of dying from heart disease. This is the power of a single, overlooked nutrient. But vitamin K2 does not work alone. It has an essential partner in this fight, a nutrient many people actively avoid, believing it to be a threat to their health. We've identified the key nutrient that directs calcium, but there's a specific dietary fat that acts as its essential partner, dramatically increasing its absorption. Most people actively avoid this fat, thinking it's unhealthy. The truth will surprise you. Before we reveal that, we must address another silent saboteur: magnesium. If vitamin K2 is the traffic cop, magnesium is the gatekeeper. It functions as a natural calcium channel blocker. In a state of magnesium sufficiency, it competes with calcium for entry into cells and helps keep calcium dissolved in the blood, preventing it from precipitating out and forming those dangerous crystals. Yet, an estimated 75% of adults in the Western world are deficient in this critical mineral. This creates a state of unopposed calcium, where it is free to accumulate in the wrong places. Chronic magnesium deficiency is a direct invitation for calcification to begin. It primes the arterial environment for disaster. The solution, therefore, is not about eliminating calcium. It is about restoring the body's innate system of checks and balances. It is about reintroducing the managers that have been stripped from our modern diet. This brings us to the most critical partnership in bone and cardiovascular health: the synergy between vitamin D3 and vitamin K2. For years, we have been told to take vitamin D for bone health, and for good reason. Vitamin D3 dramatically increases the absorption of calcium from our intestines into our bloodstream. This is a vital first step for building strong bones, but it is only half of the equation. Think of it this way. Vitamin D is the delivery truck that picks up a load of calcium and drives it into the city, which is your bloodstream. This is a good thing. The city needs calcium, but without a director, those trucks will just dump their cargo anywhere. On the sidewalks, in the parks, and, most dangerously, all over the main highways, your arteries. This creates a massive, dangerous traffic jam. Vitamin K2 is the foreman, the traffic director. It stands at the intersections and directs every single calcium truck to its proper destination: the construction sites of your bones and teeth. It ensures not a single brick of calcium is left behind to clog the highways. You might be taking a vitamin D supplement right now, believing you're protecting your bones, but are you inadvertently accelerating the stiffening of your arteries? In a moment, we will reveal the precise ratio of these two vitamins needed to ensure you're helping, not hurting. Taking high doses of vitamin D without adequate vitamin K2 is like hiring a massive fleet of delivery trucks with no one to unload them at the destination. It is a recipe for systemic chaos. The increased calcium in the blood has nowhere to go, and the arteries become the path of least resistance for deposition. This is why some studies have shown mixed or even negative cardiovascular outcomes with high-dose vitamin D supplementation alone. It was never the fault of vitamin D. It was the ignorance of its essential partner. The body's systems are built on synergy, on partnerships. To isolate one nutrient is to ignore the holistic nature of our own biology. So how do we re-establish this critical partnership through our diet? The dietary blueprint for decalcification begins with sourcing vitamin K2. This is where the modern diet fails most profoundly. The most potent source of vitamin K2, specifically the long-acting MK7 form, is a traditional Japanese food called natto. Natto is fermented soybeans and contains an astronomical amount of K2, far more than any other food on the planet. A single serving can provide several thousand micrograms. The regular consumption of natto in parts of Japan is strongly correlated with their population's superior bone and cardiovascular health, even into advanced age. However, natto has a very strong, acquired taste and pungent aroma that many Westerners find challenging. It is a testament to how far our palates have strayed from nutrient-dense, traditional foods. Fortunately, there are other, more accessible sources. Certain hard and semi-soft cheeses, particularly those made from the milk of grass-fed cows, are excellent sources. Gouda and brie are notable standouts. The key is the grass. The cows consume the vitamin K1 from the green grass, and the bacteria in their digestive systems convert it into the bioavailable vitamin K2, which then concentrates in their milk and fat. This is a crucial point. The health of the animal determines the nutrient density of the food. Grain-fed dairy products contain significantly less vitamin K2. Other potent sources include egg yolks from pasture-raised chickens, where the yolk's deep orange color is an indicator of its nutrient richness, and goose liver pâté. These are foods that have been systematically demonized by decades of low-fat dietary dogma. We were told to avoid egg yolks and high-fat dairy, and in doing so, we inadvertently stripped our diet of its most powerful defense against arterial calcification. The fat itself is the carrier. Remember the rehook? The fat we were told to avoid is the very vehicle for these life-saving, fat-soluble vitamins. Food is the foundation, but for those over 60, dietary changes alone might not be enough to reverse years of calcification. What is the therapeutic dosage for supplementation, and what is the one common ingredient in cheap supplements that you must avoid at all costs? The answer requires precision. When considering supplementation, one must act as a strategist, not a passive consumer. The goal is to provide a therapeutic dose that overwhelms the deficit and turns the tide on the calcification process. For vitamin K2, the focus should be on the MK7 form. While the MK4 form is also active, it has a very short half-life in the body, requiring multiple doses throughout the day. MK7, in contrast, remains active in the bloodstream for over 72 hours, providing a constant, steady supply of this crucial nutrient to activate proteins around the clock. Clinical studies suggest that a daily dose of between 180 and 360 micrograms of MK7 is effective for improving arterial flexibility. This is a targeted intervention. It is a precise tool. Next is vitamin D-3. The only way to know one's true requirement is to test blood levels of 25-hydroxyvitamin D. The optimal range is typically between 40 and 60 nanograms per milliliter. For many people over 55, achieving this range requires daily supplementation of between 2,000 and 5,000 international units, especially in regions with limited sun exposure. But again, this must not be done in isolation. The critical rule of synergy, the ratio, must be respected. A general guideline followed by many functional medicine practitioners is to supplement with at least 100 micrograms of vitamin K2 for every 1,000 to 2,000 international units of vitamin D3. This ensures that the increased calcium being absorbed has a director. It's the fail-safe mechanism. Then there is magnesium. Oral supplementation can rapidly correct a deficiency. The best absorbed forms are magnesium glycinate, malate, or citrate, as they are less likely to cause digestive distress. A common starting dose is between 200 and 400 milligrams of elemental magnesium per day, preferably taken in the evening due to its calming effects on the nervous system. This trio, K2, D3, and magnesium, forms the core of the decalcification protocol. They work in concert, a biological symphony to restore order to mineral metabolism. However, the supplement industry is a minefield of low-quality products and deceptive marketing. The one ingredient that must be avoided, often found in cheaper formulations, is magnesium oxide. It is poorly absorbed by the body, with a bioavailability of often less than 5%. Furthermore, many combination bone health formulas are paradoxically dangerous. They often combine high-dose vitamin D with high-dose calcium, typically in the form of calcium carbonate, essentially chalk, but contain little to no vitamin K2. This combination is the perfect storm for accelerating arterial calcification. It is flooding the system with the raw material for plaque and the absorption agent, without providing the traffic cop. It is a profound and common formulation error. It is critical to read labels with an informed eye. But there is another factor, a silent instigator of inflammation that directly damages the arterial lining, creating the very sites where this rogue calcium is most likely to deposit. It's a common ingredient found in thousands of processed foods that people consume daily without a second thought. This dietary staple essentially creates potholes in your arterial highways, inviting disaster. And addressing it is just as important as the nutrient protocol itself. It is the inflammatory trigger, and it is likely in your pantry right now. Many people believe they are eating a healthy diet, but this one component undermines all of their efforts, creating a low-grade, chronic inflammatory state. This inflammation acts like sandpaper on the delicate endothelial lining of the arteries. What is this inflammatory agent? It's not sugar, though that's a problem too. It is the unstable, highly processed industrial seed oils. Oils like soybean, corn, canola, and sunflower oil. These are not the traditional fats of our ancestors. They are industrial products, extracted with high heat and chemical solvents, which makes them rancid and inflammatory from the moment they are created. But here is the critical part that most people miss, the part that links this directly back to our plaque problem. It's not just about general inflammation. These oils do something far more sinister. They transform your cholesterol. Have you ever wondered why cholesterol, a substance vital for every cell in your body, suddenly becomes the villain in the story of heart disease? It's because it gets damaged. When you consume these unstable polyunsaturated fats, they get incorporated into your LDL particles, the so-called bad cholesterol. This makes the LDL incredibly fragile, susceptible to oxidation. Essentially, the cholesterol turns rancid inside your body. This oxidized LDL is no longer a neutral passenger. Your immune system treats it as a foreign invader, triggering a violent inflammatory response directly inside the artery wall. And what does the body use to patch up this fire damage? You guessed it, calcium. It's the cholesterol, but not as you know it. It's the damaged cholesterol that starts the fire. So the body rushes in with its fire brigade, the macrophages, the immune cells, and tries to patch the damage with calcium. But here's the ultimate paradox, the biological betrayal. What if that patch job is designed to fail? What if the body has a hidden, ancient protocol that it's following, a protocol that no longer serves us in the modern world? That ancient protocol is the body's primal response to injury. It is a brilliant, life-saving mechanism designed for a world of physical trauma. When our ancestors were wounded, The body's first priority was to stop the bleeding and prevent infection. The fastest way to build a wall, a protective scab, is with inflammation and calcium. It's a rapid, hardened patch. The problem is, your body can't tell the difference between a puncture wound from a predator's tooth and the microscopic, inflammatory damage caused by oxidized LDL. It sees a breach in the wall of the artery and triggers the same ancient emergency protocol. Inflame and calcify. Wall it off. Protect at all costs. It's a survival program running on the wrong operating system. A biological mismatch. The seed oils are the constant injury, and the calcified plaque is the constant, misguided scab. But here is the profound and empowering truth. We are not victims of our own biology. We can stop triggering the alarm. The solution is not a complex medical procedure. It is an act of removal and an act of restoration. First, you remove the trigger. You replace the inflammatory industrial oils with stable, traditional fats that your body recognizes as fuel, not as a threat. By doing this, you stop creating the oxidized LDL that initiates the damage. You extinguish the fire. The alarm bells go silent. Second, you restore the system's intelligence. You provide the directors, the vitamin K2 and magnesium, that tell the calcium where to go. You ensure vitamin D is at optimal levels so the entire system has the energy it needs to function. You are not just patching the damage. You are providing the blueprint for a complete remodel. This is not about fighting your body. It is about understanding its language. The calcification in your arteries is not a sign that your body is broken. It is a sign that it is trying desperately to save you using an ancient script. Our job is to hand it a new one, a script written with the ink of modern understanding, one that turns a flawed patch job into a masterpiece of regeneration. The story of your health is not written in stone. It is written every day. With every choice you make, the power to decalcify your body and reclaim your vitality is not in a prescription pad. It's on your fork, in your habits, and in your knowledge. This is the new paradigm of health. It's simple, it's elegant, and it's yours to claim. This is only the beginning. To learn the specific foods, the precise protocols, and the practical steps to rewrite your own biological story, subscribe to How to Be Healthy. The journey to taking back control starts right